a very special guest, big time radio executive, author, artist, producer. He's Forbes say he's the biggest and most influential person in hip hop.
Oh wow.
Damion Young, aka Damizza, in the building. How you doing, my brother?
You're too kind, my brother. You're too kind. I think you give me way too much credit, but I appreciate it. You have to forgive me. I'm on my first cup of coffee. Kool-Aid had me out last night to the wee hours of the morning, and then I stopped by and saw Mixed by Crook at the studio, a young producer that's just doing it out here. So you have to forgive me. Little Bams and him ended up recording a song, and I was in the studio till late and didn't get home till 2. But I wanted to make sure I made it because, I mean, you have been so accommodating, you know, with all of my travel snafus of the last week, you know, rescheduling with you so many times. I just appreciate you doing it, man.
Nah, I appreciate you stopping by the show. I really do. And I seen you was in the studio last night with the guys.
Oh, man, that was so much fun. You know, Cam DeGuapo is from Santa Paula, and my buddy Tone introduced me to Mixed by Crook. And, you know, I'm such a fan of West Coast music, and especially the new producers that are coming up, whether it's like Chepo and Lompoc, who just did the new Yotes album. Are you familiar with the Yotes?
No.
I mean, Coyote, I mean, Jesus, these guys are fucking incredible. Like they write their stuff visually, so it's basically they're writing to a video and then they make the video. So it's like, wow. Man, they're incredible. And Chepo, my buddy, did the Lefty Gunplay game record with him. And, you know, all these young guys are just incredible. So I ended up at the studio with Mixed by Crook, and Mixed by Crook does a lot of the, you know, Lefty Gunplays and, you know, a lot of those kind of records and stuff. And to see him and Drummer and you know, everybody, man, just great stuff, man. So I had a blast last night. So I'm on my first cup of coffee. Give me a second. I'm with it.
I see you back. You took a break from the music industry for a while.
Yeah, I took it was a long while, actually. My grandma, who raised me, who was the most important person in my life, when I was about a year old, I was dropped on her doorstep, and Dad was a biker and Mom was, you know, into, you know, drugs or whatever it was, and Grandma raised me. And when I was about 7 years old, I said, you take care of me now and I'll take care of you then. So when she started to get sick in like 2005, or, you know, started to fall down and have some issues, I retired from everything and just became a full-time caregiver for her. So I just literally walked away from the business that day and just focused on taking care of her. But, you know, it was the coolest thing in the world because, you know, I met Bams and Skippy and some of the best friends of my life, you know, and just started mentoring them. And slowly but surely, it brought me right back into the music business. So here I am.
When you took a break, was it much needed for the soul? Because I know with the music industry, the hustle, the bustle, everything.
Yeah, man. You know, you know, I always say the music business is worse than the crack game. And it really is. You know, it's the most backstabbing, crazy business. You know, it's kind of crazy. Like, for instance, you know, I never took payola. I never would do anything that wasn't right for my radio station. I wouldn't, you know, I always, you know, I didn't get paid for, like, I Still Believe, my first hit record with Crazy Bone and Mariah, because I didn't want there to be any impropriety. I didn't want to take money for producing a record and then them expect me to play it. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't want to put myself in that position. So I was just always a Puritan when it came to hip hop. And when I got back, you know, I was in Louisiana with Grandma because that's where she wanted to move. So we moved a little bit before COVID. And in Louisiana, we didn't have Wi-Fi a lot. We didn't have, you know, a lot of great service. I mean, if there was a cloud in the sky, we didn't get TV or internet. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking rural Louisiana, Logansport, Louisiana, like town of 200. You know, the downtown was like a block. You know, it was like a gas station, you know, a post office. And if you drove that past the bridge, you were in Texas, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. So I didn't see a whole lot of music and stuff going on. So, of course, I didn't hear a lot of the rumors and all of this. And I came back and it's like, oh, this guy took payola. This guy screwed this person. I mean, the music business will make up its own narrative to discredit people that just aren't around to defend themselves. And, you know, I didn't know. And I came back. I started hearing all this stuff right after my grandma passes, which happened like January 6th. By the 8th, I was back in California. And I was just like, dude, that's the narrative. I was like, okay. So I started doing this Instagram thing, and I guess it just kind of took off. So, I'm lucky and blessed that I had so much support from everybody from Fools Gone Wild and Teddy Riley, and I mean, just everybody that's been supportive and reposting my stuff is really what brought me back.
And that's
And
why.
whether it's LT Hutton or QD3 or I mean, just everybody gave me so much love and support.
Yeah, I see you getting that. Cause I see you always on Instagram talking about the music business, life, and basically just giving out gems to like people, talking about the current events. That's where I seen you from, and where I mainly see you from when you bigged up Joel Santana's new record.
Jules is interesting because Jules and I worked a lot with Cam, I worked a lot with Mace, so a lot of those guys early on, and Jimmy, and all those guys. But Santana, I didn't really know. And when I was doing these posts, one day he just hit me up and he's like, what do you think? I fucks with you. Tell me what you think of the music business today. And we ended up on a call, and then I ended up telling him some stuff, and we went back and forth, and we just kind of started to become friends. You know what I mean? So we talk every once in a while, and support each other, and he's just been great, man. So I'm really proud of Jules, and that Jadakiss record is fire.
Fire, fire, fire. So you being a West Coast
jump
guy,
the boogie.
I'm gonna get to that later. Growing up in California, what inspired you to be in the music business? Was it that you had to, like, you was young, you needed to find a hustle, or somebody put you in position?
Well, it actually was kind of the opposite. Being a hip hop fan and loving music, took me on this crazy journey that ended up in the music business. You know what I mean? Like, I was just trying as a fan. I always say I'm like the Forrest Gump of hip hop. Like, I just kind of go along. Yeah, I got shot in the ass, but I met the president. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of been my life. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of follow the music and just, I'm a humble servant to the music, and I just go through the days, and, I never know what I'm going to say when I hit that red button, or, Jules Santana reacts to it. Then I meet Jules, and, that's just, that's just how it happens, just like that. And so, I mean, I never set out to do it, but, every time I encounter a song, it takes me to another place. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just lucky enough to see the show and have a front row seat.
Front row seat. Let's talk about you being the head radio executive of Power 106 in LA and Hot 97 at the same time. How did it feel? Like, some would say like you was like a gatekeeper at that time with artists. Like, you had control of what was being played on the radio, what artists was getting pushed out at the time. How did it feel to have that kind of power? Like, did you?
I am what, like I say, I'm the luckiest person alive. Like, I am what happens when you let a rogue hip hop fan have some power. When they made me music director, I always thought I was going to get fired. I had a massive imposter syndrome thing going on. Like, when are they going to realize I don't know what the hell I'm doing? Because I wasn't a corporate guy. I couldn't conform to those rules. You know what I mean? It was just about the music. So I wanted to meet DJ Quick, I wanted to meet Dr. Dre, I wanted to meet Snoop Dogg. And the way the universe works is, you just manifest these things by just following the momentum and not getting in your own way. I mean, so I just, I just played the records I liked, or people reacted to, or I thought, people would enjoy. And, it just took me down that road. So, it never hit me until like I got back and saw the reception. I never really, I saw Jeff Garcia one time, or talked to Jeff Garcia, who works for Cruise at Real 92.3 one time. And, he told me that I put Snoop and Dre back together. Like, I didn't even realize it until he told me the story. And I went, oh yeah, like that kind of happened. I mean, because in the moment, you don't think like that as a fan. You don't think like, this is what's going to come from it. Exhibit, Eminem, 50 Cent, all of these things are going to come from that platform. You don't think about it. You know what I mean? You just do the work. And then later, it's like being a painter or being a podcaster or anything like that. It's those moments when you go, what the hell was that? I don't even remember that happening, which is the magic of the entertainment business that's been lost. I mean, now we have all of these corporate guys running the entertainment business, and their hedge fund cats and liquor cats and, you know, all these other businesses coming into the music business that don't want to understand the music business. They think, oh, it's just a numbers game. We'll just grab these artists that, you know, are starting to, you know, gain a little bit of momentum on these DSPs and get behind them and just ride these singles. Well, Universal just proved that with a 20% haircut in their stock price. You know what I mean? There's no music people in the music business anymore. So they're chasing these DSP numbers, and then when they don't hit their margins, they say it's the DSP's fault. You know what I mean? Like, you know, no, it's the fact that you have cut off your nose to spite your face. You know, you fired all of the creatives from the entertainment business. There's no A&R guys. There's no artist development. You're not out there cultivating new artists and empowering artists. You're just riding off their backs if they get a little bit of momentum, but you're also driving them into the ground because you're not helping them along to get bigger. You're not making any new brands. There aren't any new Eminems. There aren't any new Beyoncés. There aren't any of these iconic brands because you're not developing the artist. You're not developing the songs. You're just writing them until they fizzle out. So now it's a singles driven universe, and it sucks.
Sucks. The music in this industry sucks right now. I'm saying there's a few artists that make good music, but there's like a real handful. And is it true?
But you know, they keep going to the well. I mean, how many times can, you know, Taylor Swift or Post Malone or you know, any of these artists go out there and do the same thing? You know what I mean? Where's the next one? You know what I mean? You know, I saw an interview with Noel Gallagher from Oasis, alternative band, not that long ago. And they were asking him about all the new artists and where are all the new artists? And he's like, man, where is the next Oasis? Why are you talking about us getting back together? You should be talking about, you know, the next generation. But there just isn't. You know, and the other thing is, you know, you hear me rant about radio a lot. And, you know, the thing is only 20% or 26% of inner cities and low income areas have data plans on their cell phones. You know, so, and they work all day. So they're not sitting there on TikTok or YouTube or, you know, any of those platforms, you know, looking for music all day. They're working, but in their FedEx trucks and their, you know, delivery trucks and in their offices and in their, you know, stores, they're playing the radio. 96% of Americans still listen to the radio, whether they realize it or not. So, you know, you're not incubating these records like you should be, and that's why they're having the problems that they are. And now they're just becoming AI houses. You know, they're making artificial music, and the record companies just want to cut out, you know, I mean, their biggest expense is artist royalties. Well, the quickest way to cut out artist royalties for the future is to make AI music. You know, I mean, they're not in the concert business. They're not in the merch business, but you can make, you know, merch for a AI artist. You know, I mean, just look at Instagram today with all of the, you know, AI models and all of that kind of stuff. They're trying to get you to the point where you accept this new AI world that we're living in. You know, starting off with the models, it's like the internet with porn and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they get you hooked, and you know, and that's why, you know, like during the Kendrick and Drake beef, I was so hard on Drake was because, you know, you made an AI song with Tupac and you didn't even clear it with the Tupac's estate, you know what I mean? And Snoop Dogg. And, you know, it's like, dude, you're normalizing what they're doing, and you don't realize that you're replacing yourself. You know what I mean? So it just, I don't know.
Diminishing the talent.
And diminishing the product and the format and the music. You know what I mean? This music thing has always been a collaborative effort. I mean, we sit here and get together and talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a collaborative effort. You know what I mean? Consistency and repetition breeds familiarity. Familiarity breeds a relationship. A relationship breeds teamwork. Teamwork or synergy wins games. That relationship is every turntable needs a record. Every record needs an artist. Every artist needs a fan. Every fan needs an artist. You know what I mean? And it's just an ecosystem of this train of momentum that develops and makes artists. So if you don't have that, and you're just making AI crap to put on streaming platforms to keep this infinity loop of money coming back to you, You know, where are we? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the music industry ain't the same no more. It's trash.
No.
And
No,
I've been
it's
doing
trash.
my research. Is it true that you spoke to Dr. Dre and when Dr. Dre he asked you what to do with Eminem and you gave him advice how to is that true?
Yeah, you know, I've been really lucky throughout my career that you know I've been asked advice in certain situations, and you know whether it's Janet Jackson or you know Mariah Carey or Dr. Dre or anybody like that. You know, I mean, I'm a marketing guy. You know, I kind of just I'm a fan of a good story. You know what I mean? Going back to the Death Row days and watching you know the Tupac story and you know all of that kind of stuff. I just kind of realized that everything needs a storyline kind of thing. You know, and when Dre signed Eminem, he called me to the house and M was in the booth doing "Hi, My Name Is." And he was actually on the part where it was like, Slim Shady, you a basshead. I'm like, oh, he's writing for you? And he goes, hey, let me talk to you about that. And I was like, what? And I'm like, you signed the white boy? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, wow. I said, well, tell me the story. And as the fan, you tell me the story of NWA from beginning to end, and I will break the white boy for you. You know what I mean? And, you know, MTV actually ended up breaking Eminem, you know, nationally, but in Los Angeles and you know, we were a big help. So yeah, Dre always looked out for me.
Take a lot of credit for that Eminem.
It was a mutual friendship and relationship.
And
like he was a great mentor. I've learned so much from watching Dre. Or being able to watch Dre.
Oh, very mentored. And that's why I say powerful man in hip hop, because without you knowing, you put a lot of people in place, and that's big megastars right now that you know people don't know about, like Eminem. And I could go off like you work with some of these artists. Were they big before they met you, like Mariah Carey, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre?
Oh yeah,
Lil Wayne, Ludacris.
Oh yeah, you know, Lil Wayne. You know, it's kind of funny. I only did one record with Wayne, and I actually have never met Wayne. You know, TQ did a record with Wayne called The Ghetto that was unreleased for a long time, or it still is unreleased. It's a bootleg, but Wayne ended up getting on the record and stuff like that. Or wait, did I meet Wayne? I don't remember. It was so long ago. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was he in the session? Man, I don't even remember. But you know, there's so many records and so much stuff that.
And Michael Jackson too. You work with Michael Jackson.
Well, you know, I didn't work with Michael. Well, I guess I kind of did. You know, it's so hard to remember each instance, you know, but he had this show in Korea and I was working with Mariah at the time. So I, you know, went and helped the South Korea concert that Michael was doing. And we also did the thing in, I forgot about that. The thing in Washington, D.C., you know, show stuff. But yeah, I did some show stuff.
I know you work with Janet Jackson, and I just found out you worked with Michael Jackson. I'm like, oh my god, you work with the Jacksons.
Yeah, you know, Janet, when she went to go do "I Get Lonely," was having some trouble at radio. So a friend of mine, rest in peace, Ricky Lee, called me and said, "I need you to come to this address." And I was like, "Where?" It was just like some random house, but they were shooting a video there. And I walk up to the trailer and it says Janet Jackson on the door. I'm like, what the hell? And walked in and she's like, well, why isn't radio playing my stuff? You know, can you help us? And I was like, well, yeah, you know, you need to go do a radio run. So, you know, I booked her on Ricky Lee's conference call to talk to the mixers. I introduced her to Steve Smith, rest in peace, who had a massive consultancy, which is who I worked for. So we had Power 106, Hot 97, and 32 stations in the middle because of the consultancy. So, you know, brought her to that and kind of orchestrated her radio run, which relaunched her during I Get So Lonely. So, you know, it was kind of one of those things.
And you helped her with her career too.
Yeah. You know, I'm a relaunch guy. You know, I'm a rebranding relaunch guy. You know, whenever, like for instance, when Mariah did Glitter, that's when she called me in, you know, to help her rebuild Glitter. And you know, even if you go to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, I mean, how many times after the Firm and the Aftermath album did they say Dr. Dre was over, or you know, during Glitter, Mariah Carey's over, or you know, radio's done, or you know, any of this kind of stuff? I hear it and go, nah, you know, it's like a classic car. Yeah, it's a little banged up right now, but if you rebuild it and make it cherry again, people will go, oh, you know what I mean? Nice. If you've been a hit once, you can be a hit again, man. It's people are just too quick to dismiss because they don't see it like that. You know, I mean, I see it as, you know, like a car. You know, you put a new engine in it, you put a nice paint job on it and redo the upholstery, it'll be badass as it was the day that, you know, it rolled off the factory floor.
And people's attention span is real small too.
Yeah.
So they get
Well, they're lazy. They don't want to work for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I literally spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the road with Mariah, you know, advising every decision to bring it back to We Belong Together, you know, put her with Benny Medina, send her to Atlanta to make the record with Jermaine, you know, just, I mean, every last detail, you know, went to the Super Bowl with her, made sure that she was in good spirits before she went out there, you know, just made, I mean, everything, you know, I mean, it's attention to detail. The devil's in the details, man. But I look at it not as I look at it as a fan. That's why I win, is because I surround myself with people smarter than me in every situation. Like, you know, if say I'm working with Mariah, then I make sure that I know everybody in her fan club base, you know, like all of the fan clubs across the world. I talk to the heads of those. And then it's like a Congress, you know what I mean? Like you try to know their audience, know their fan base, and then work in synergy, listen to what they're saying. You know, we need this type of record. We want this. And then go and find a way to, I don't know, kind of manipulate the situation to activate that fan base again and get them excited.
And radio executives do not do that nowadays.
No. And that's the key, you know, in radio, it's about knowing your audience. You know what I mean? It's, you know, a lot of the radio programmers and the DJs and stuff like that, you know, in LA, they don't want to go to East Los. You know what I mean? They don't want to go to South Central. They want to go to Hollywood. They want to play in Hollywood. Well, Hollywood is where you pay off the work. You know what I mean? Like that's the pop audience. After all the work is done through, you know, the you know, East Los and South Central and all of those places, then the records are incubated, then you cross them over to a pop audience, and that pop audience is in Hollywood. If you start at Hollywood, you're going to fly over everyone's head because you screwed off your listeners that are really the ones that are incubating your record, that make it hot, that start the chatter, that leads to Hollywood. And that's why, like last night, you'll see me in the studio with Mixed by Crook or you know, Danny Drummer and Cam DeGuapo and, you know, all of these Lefty Gunplay, you know, Soulless and OTR and, you know, all of those guys. You'll see me with those guys first, because I'm learning what's going on in the street, and it's a long process. I mean, everybody's been watching. You've been watching on a 6-month journey on my Instagram. I tell you what I'm doing every day to show this is how I'm building this. And it's not, you know, I'm not just going to come in and, you know, start at the top and be a, you know, huge record executive coming out of it. No, I'm starting in the mailroom and I'm going through the streets and I'm learning what everybody's doing. And if you look at my Instagram, every artist and every producer and everybody from the independent artist that doesn't have a deal, to the Lefty Gunplays, to the Cam DeGuapos, to the Little Bams, to the Rowdy Racks, to the Big Boys, to the Dr. Dre's, you know, and everything that's under it, the Yotes, Chepo, I mean, all the young producers, you know, Cypress Moreno, you know, what everybody's doing, I want to know everyone. You know what I mean? From the, you know, iconic L.A. Reid and Babyface and the, you know, the Avila brothers and all of that, all the way down to the artist that doesn't have a deal. I want to know what everybody's doing, and I want to know them all, so that when we get to the point where we can execute, when we get back up into that position, we don't make the same mistakes we did last time and let some assholes in.
So basically, you found the same blueprint you did when you was younger, basically.
Hell yeah. You know, you know, DJ Quick gave me some great advice one time. Is when I did Lights Out, I said, well, all it was is I listened to Family Affair, took the snare, did this and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, do it again. There's nothing new under the sun. He goes, whatever you did, just do it again. And that's the consistency and repetition. You know what I mean? And
passion. Consistency
and repetition breeds familiarity. The familiarity is with your audience and with the people that are doing it. You know, and then you consistently and repeatedly make those relationships work. And, you know, so all I did was go back to square one of the music business. Yeah, I happen to know everybody and they know me, but, you know, I started at the bottom again. You know what I mean? So that I would know what the, what was the vibe? What is everybody doing? I wouldn't know what's going on in the streets or what's going on in corporate America if I didn't talk to everybody from the Monty Littmans, who's a CEO of Universal Music, but he happened to also be the local promotion rep for I forgot what label when I was 16, and he's pushing these records to me as a a new person in the business. So I've watched him go through being a local promotion person in the Santa Barbara region all the way to the CEO of this massive conglomerate. So I can call him and go, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" You know what I mean? Like,
You've seen the story.
I'm just lucky like that. You know what I mean?
And what's up with that Conor McGregor record label? I see you've been pushing the Conor McGregor record label a lot lately, and I see they doing works with Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Well, what had happened was, is they signed Bone Thugs and Harmony, and
Oh,
Julian, who's on Connor's team, saw my post and reached out to me through DM and said, "Hey, we're starting this new label, and we wanted to talk to you." And I was like, "Well, an indie label from Ireland, I don't know what I could do from here." And then I get this NDA, and it's from Conor McGregor's people, and I'm like, how did Conor McGregor's people hear of me? You know what I mean? Like, but they just followed, the same way Guy O'Siri or Monty Littman or Craig Common or anybody else who, L.A. Reid or Babyface or whoever's that's tapped in on my Instagram, I guess the same way. You know what I mean? Like, so it just kind of snowballed. And then when I found out they signed Bone, Bone, Crazy Bone was on my first record. One of my closest friends in the music business. We've been working together 25 something years. I still believe with Mariah Carey, Crazy Bone and the Brat was the first hit I ever had. So when they signed with, Connor's team, and shout out to Bobby D. Bobby D went to them, who manages them, and said, "What do you think about bringing Damizza in?" And it just Crazy and Lazy were like, yeah, we need that. And then,
definitely need that.
Went on down, had a meeting with him, and we always work well together. So here we are.
You make it more official, because I ain't gonna lie. When I first found out McGregor was starting a record label, the first thing that went to my head was like, but when you see him working with big time, people in the business, now it makes it more of a record label. Because before, when you first hear Conor McGregor record label, you like, but then working with like some official people, now people gonna start watching him. He signed Bone Thugs and Harmony, so I like their records. I wonder how they sound right now. I'm waiting to see how they sound.
They sound great. And what's cool about it too is I'm only, I'm just a consultant right now. You know what I mean? Like, they started the label, I'm just consulting, because that's what I do. All day long, I sit here on Zoom calls and consult everybody from entrepreneurs and tech companies and all of that kind of stuff to the independent artists. That's what I love to do, is just sit here, give advice, take advice, learn, go back and forth. So I'm just kind of advising them right now. But it's I like what they set out to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, their deals are structured better than the normal deals. They're traditional joint ventures. They're not music business trickery contracts where it's just there to keep you in debt. Yeah, it's a business. Connor's treating it like a business, and I respect that. So if anybody is doing something to help artists, then you're gonna see me. You know what I mean? Like, so it isn't even about, to me, the business of it. It's somebody trying to do right and fight on behalf of the artist, then I will consult you and help you as much as I can. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the relationship with Conor.
Oh wow, and that's what he's doing. He's working for the artist, basically. He's more of the artist. Because a lot of these record labels now, they doing that 360 deal, and
he's not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so
anytime it doesn't matter whether you're an independent artist. It doesn't matter if you're Conor McGregor. If you're trying to do the right thing by an artist, you will see me, and I will sit there and try to help you. You know what I mean? It just is. It's in my DNA. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're Conor McGregor. I don't care if you're a new artist that doesn't have a deal, that only made one song. You know what I mean? If you hit me up and you say I need help, I'm gonna help you.
So when is Bone Thugs, when they gonna start dropping music? Do you still have connections with the radio?
Yeah, of course I still have connections.
Oh,
You
so
know,
they talking to the right man then. You gonna stop? I'm definitely gonna be hearing more Bone Thugs then.
oh yeah. I mean, they rolled it out at the Jake Paul fight. You know what I mean? Like that last Jake Paul fight is where they said we're signed to Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? Greenback Records. And it was great, but it just was in the middle of all that travel snafu stuff. So we only could get two of them there. We had it, booked where it was going to be Bone Thugs and Harmony, but the problem is the travel stuff messed everything up. So only two ended up making it. You know what I mean? So we made the best of it. We had a blast, and then we ran with the announcement. And now we're getting ready to go in the studio. I was with Crazy, God, 2 or 3 nights ago in the studio talking about the trajectory of the album. And then talked to Lazy, and of course Wish and Flesh I've talked to, and I mean, we're moving. So we'll see.
And I see you got a book out too, Guilty by Association.
Yep.
Where did that title come from? Was that something personal, or is that something you've been seeing in like?
It was that came from Corrupt. Corrupt named the book.
Oh, really?
And how it happened was he goes, your next project, you need to call it Guilty by Association. And I said, why? And he goes, because you're always in the middle of everybody's bullshit. And he goes, no matter what it is, he goes, if you're with Mariah Carey, then the rappers hate you. If you're with the rappers, then the pop people hate you. If you empower a rapper and work with them directly, then the label hates you. If you're working with the label, then the artist hates you. He goes, you just can't win. And he goes, so call it Guilty by Association because you're always associated to someone else's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that's just how that came about. So, and it was, because when I went to write the book, I had already left the industry. So I was just, kind of doing, whatever. And I actually I went to rehab at Betty Ford, at the end of the business, because I was just drinking way crazy and couldn't get off the liquor. And that's how I met the writer of the book, J. Marshall Craig, rest in peace, who passed away recently. And the press release came out that I was doing a book, and everybody said, oh my God, it's going to be a tell-all, this, that, and the other. I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So all of this press came out, and, anytime you're associated to artists of any name, they immediately want to make it clickbait. Or back in the time, they wanted to make it, news. Oh, he's going to talk about Mariah. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's one chapter in 12. You know what I mean? Like, it's about a kid with a dream that made it in the music business. You know what I mean? And my relationship with my grandma that taught me, this game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all that. And, I just kind of laughed it off. But I guess that kind of snowball and just not managing it or not saying anything about it, I mean, it ended up it backfired, and when I came back to the game, some of that residual book bullshit was out there. You know what I mean? So I had to come and clarify some things.
Sure did, because it's the title too. I think it was the title that threw people off.
Yeah, but
association. They probably they just thought of something bad automatically, but if they
I mean, but think about it. I mean, how much more perfect could you be? I mean, even in releasing the book, I was guilty by association because of the association to Mariah Carey. You think my book is going to be a tell-all? You know what I mean? Like, no, it's an instruction manual on how to just believe in yourself. And I mean, my dear friend Pharaoh, who runs a lot of the juvenile detention centers here in California, he was working in LA during COVID at SOMAR and the Los Angeles Juvenile Detention Center. Well, he was an intern of mine at Baby Ree back in the day when he was just a youngster, and the juvenile detention centers ended up buying my book and giving it to every incarcerated youth that was locked down during COVID, as inspiration. And then right after COVID ended, I went to Somar and went and met with all of the kids and talked to them about the book. It was never that. It was that's what it was intended for. Is youngsters that that have an outlook of I can't make it because this system is so messed up. Okay, well, yeah, I was abandoned on my grandma's doorstep, but I still made it. You know what I mean? Like,
they need that inspiration. They
and
need
no one
that
gave me a
story.
shot like that. I mean, yeah, I had mentors along the way: Michael Newman, Steve Smith, Bobby B, Dynamite Darren Stone, whoever it was, that gave me those keys and jewels along the way and the shots. But I had to fend for myself a lot of times. You know what I mean? I had to decipher the codes that they were giving me and then learn how to adapt to that situation.
And that book will help our youngster too, who thinks that life is over, like he can't make it. I'm
Yeah.
stuck in this position and nothing's gonna get better. Books like that is good for
Yeah.
inspiration, motivation. So youngsters need to hear that.
A lot of times these days they feel like, the good guy doesn't win. You know what I mean? You have to be a bad guy and you have to do savvy business and screw people over and all. No, you don't, because Grandma had a great saying. She said, the impossible just takes a little longer. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just, my theory on life is, yeah, it may have taken me a little longer, or look, a lot of people when I came back, well, why didn't you just get a job at Sony and just boom? You know what I mean? Like, and why are you going through the streets like this? You know what I mean? Why are you doing all that? You already did all of that. No. Because when I get to that point, when I'm running a major or something like that, I'll know everybody and everything that's happening from the street level to the boardroom. You know what I mean?
And that's crazy. Nobody thinks like that no more. And
and the thing is, what are you going to do? Show up at dinner and not cook the food? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna go to the store and get all the raw ingredients and serve that? No, you're gonna spend the time in the kitchen until it's done. If you take it off the stove too quick, it's not gonna be cooked. You know what I mean? But you got to start at going to the store and then cutting your vegetables and doing all of that kind of prep work to make it look nice in the end result, to make it good food at the end result. But if you skip any of those steps, then you're going to have a shitty dinner. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I will go to the very beginning and meticulously go through every store till I find the right produce. I find the right vegetable. I find the right meat. I find the right rice. I find the right, all of this stuff. And then it makes a bomb-ass gumbo when you're done.
You willing to do the work, and nobody's willing to be hands-on with things nowadays. So that's why you
said it best. They're not willing to do the work. They want a quick, fast, instant gratification, and it just don't work like that.
We live in we live in an air fryer world. Everybody wants everything fast.
It's like trying to go to a strip club to get married. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like,
and wonder why I don't work out 6 months later.
And then wonder why your car all scratched up the next day. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and your wallet's missing. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Come on, player.
But I know you're a busy man, so I ain't gonna keep you too long. But before we get out of here, I want to ask you one question. Being that you worked in radio, LA Power 106 and East Coast Hot 97, what would you say is the difference in music wise between West Coast and East Coast music?
I never really saw a difference like that. It's kind of like, regions I don't see, colors I don't see. I don't see, all those things that people try to categorize and put in a box, I just don't see. You know what I mean? So when, it was no different to me that in Mac 10 or Dr. Dre or Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? They're both rappers to me. They both make great music to me. So it's just in the packaging. You know what I mean? And I never put anything in a category. I never put my friends in a category. I never put my music in a category. It's just you either get the goosebumps or you don't. You either feel it or you don't. You know what I mean?
Would you say the West Coast beats is different than the East Coast beats though? Like the production?
Oh yeah, there's, regionally, there's different types, but at the end of the day, it's all music. There's no difference between Jermaine Dupri and Dr. Dre, other than the list of hits and where they live. You know what I'm saying? But they both make great music. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to ever say, there was times where oh, Miz, you're playing all that Atlanta music. Oh, you playing all that New York music. Why are you playing? They don't play Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg on Hot 97. Why would you play DMX? Well, that's just pushing the narrative to keep us separated. You know what I mean? And that's why I always say, even in elections, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, blood, crip. You know what I mean? Like, everything is the reason why they put labels on black, white, Asian, da 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 da, is to keep people separated. Because if everybody was organized, then the people in power would have a problem. So they always keep us fragmented and at each other so that we don't organize and can't speak for ourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why we have a two-party system and not a six. You know what I mean? The independent will never win because corporate America is funding the super PACs that buy the presidency every year. You know what I mean? And the rhetoric is to keep us separated. You know what I mean? So that we don't organize and that we can't make a decision that will make our lives better, because then it affects corporate America's cookie cutter revenue generating BS. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is.
United, you're right. They got to keep it.
So I just don't pay any attention to that. And, when Power 106 was at its top was when all of the artists were united. When Jay-Z could say to me, hey, I want to meet Eminem. Oh, you want to meet Jay? Boom, boom. That's how quick it was done. Literally how quick it was done. Dre, Snoop, you guys haven't talked in a while? Well, he says this. Well, he says this. Cool. Get on stage. You know what I'm saying? And that was that. You know what I mean? But people don't look at it and try to negotiate a compromise anymore. Do you know what I mean? People had to compromise because I was the radio. So if you want to get your shit played, probably got to need to do what Damizza says. You know what I'm saying? So they couldn't have an issue. You know what I mean? Because I'm in the middle of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just got lucky as a fan to where I could initiate conflict resolution through compromise.
They had the right man position too, because they don't have a lot. They don't have really nobody nowadays. Executives is really doing that now.
Nah, they don't care.
They don't. Yeah, they
don't. I mean, in this Zoom social network, can I have a smoke, by the way? The Zoom social networking, and I'll go get them. World, it's just it's fragmented, man. And we just need to have some common threads again. And, people like you reaching out and these podcasts, and sorry, the dogs are running around. Everybody just woke up.
I got my dog.
But in this world, if we just work together, every problem is solvable. But like I said, people put this narrative out there to put negative spins on people so that they don't have to deal with them, so they can stay in their little box and stay six feet from everybody. And come on, man, this virus and all of this stuff, what is really going on? This virus just shows up at this point in history and literally just puts everybody, separates everybody so they can drop a narrative to keep everybody separated.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Come on,
remember monkeypox? Monkeypox was out for 5-6 months, and it disappeared.
Yeah, come on, man. Ebola, all of that stuff.
All that stuff.
So it's just, come on, man. If you're a smart person and you look at the whole situation, you think, okay, who does this benefit and why? Do you know what I'm saying? Follow the money. Where does the money go? You know what I mean? Like, big ass vacuum cleaner just sucked up all the money in you know what I mean? You give all of these people, through the what is that? The COVID thing where they gave everybody 30 grand or something like that. And yeah, they racked up 6 trillion in the business loans and all of that.
Oh, the business loans, the PPP loans.
Yeah, the PPP loans and all of that. I mean, you racked up a $6 trillion bill and just printed $6 trillion and just dumped it into the economy. And where did that money go? They went out and spent it for corporate America.
And now they're trying to get it all back. Now they're trying to get it back, take it to court.
And the corporations and that 1% are not reinvesting it in the communities. So, how is the circulation? They're just living their life on yachts and jets and all of that. And that's not what employs the average person. Do you know what I'm saying? So
You're just keeping the rich
It's
rich.
all screwed
Just
up.
keeping the rich rich. That's it.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, I mean, it keeps the 1% in that loop. Yeah, we created $7 trillion in debt and 7 trillion new dollars, but it just got everybody, instead of saving it or using it for this or using it for that, went out and, I mean, how many homeless people did you see with flat screens and generators? You know what I mean? Like, this guy's got a tent down by the water,
Yeah,
you know, and
TV
and he's got
everything.
a generator and a TV and, you know, a Wi-Fi system off cellular. Like,
and that's crazy. In New York, they banned all homeless people now. They can't be in the street no more. You get locked up now and fine. Sad.
well, and that just makes the prison system more valuable. And the prison system is on the NASDAQ, and the same companies that own the prison own the record companies. So
it's all about the money. Like you said,
it's all the
Follow
infinity loop of keeping the rich rich and us fucked.
I was fucked and hoping to get some of that money. That's it.
Yeah.
I spent a whole life trying to get it.
They pushed the dream and they cut off your legs on the way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, they hold the carrot. They show, you know, it's like, you know, some of these rappers and stuff, they give them chains, they give them the cars, it's all rented, you know, da-da-da-da-da for the video, make it look that way, and then they go home and starve.
And most of them, you look at their bank account, they ain't got nothing in there. It's all facade.
Yep.
But thank you for stopping by the show, Damion.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yes, we finally did it. Shawty showed up, my man.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that, and I appreciate you, my brother.
Can you share the social media before we get out of here? Your Instagram, Twitter, if you have
Instagram is at Damizza. YouTube is Damizza Presents. Spotify is Damizza. Facebook, it's I think it's Damion Young or Damizza. I don't really use Facebook, but
okay.
You know, I mean, that's how you get in touch with me.
And you don't got Twitter yet?
Twitter is at Damizza, and any consulting stuff and all that is done through Power Talent. You can find that in my Instagram bio.
All right. Thank you for stopping by, my man.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Damizza.